Have you ever had one of those days where everything just fell apart? Maybe you got some terrible news. Maybe you cried alone in your room thinking no one noticed. And then, out of nowhere, your cat walked in, jumped onto the bed, and just stayed there, pressed against you, silent, staring at you with those unblinking eyes. You probably thought it was a coincidence. It wasn't. What your cat did in that moment is one of the most misunderstood behaviors in the entire animal kingdom. And once you understand what's actually happening inside your cat's mind when you're hurting, you will never look at them the same way again. Most people think cats are cold, distant, that they only show up when they want food or a warm spot on the couch, that they don't actually care what you're feeling. And honestly, that reputation makes a lot of sense on the surface. Cats don't wag their tails when you come home, they don't whimper when you leave, they don't bark to get your attention, they just exist around you, quietly, on their own terms. But here's the thing, that quiet, that stillness, it isn't indifference. It's something much more ancient, much more intentional. And when you're going through something painful, that quiet presence means everything. And your cat knows exactly what they're doing. Let's go back to that moment. You're sad, really sad. Maybe you're sitting on the floor, back against the wall, eyes red, or you're curled up under the covers in the middle of the afternoon, not wanting to move, and your cat, who maybe hasn't paid you much attention all day, suddenly appears. They don't meow. They don't demand to be petted, they just come close. They might press their forehead to your knee, or curl up on your chest, or sit right next to you, shoulder to shoulder, like a tiny silent guardian. What most owners don't realize is that this is not random behavior. Your cat didn't just happen to wander over, something pulled them to you, and understanding what that something is changes everything. Cats are extraordinarily sensitive to human emotional cues, not in a vague, mystical way, but in a very real, biological way. They are constantly reading you, the way you move, the way you breathe, the sound of your voice, the rhythm of your heartbeat when they're pressed against you. Researchers at Oakland University published a study that looked at how cats respond to human emotional expressions. And what they found surprised a lot of people. Cats behave differently around their owners depending on whether the owner was displaying a happy or sad expression. When the owner looked distressed, the cats became more attentive, more clingy, more likely to seek physical closeness. Not all cats showed this equally, but the behavior was there, and it was consistent enough to suggest that cats are not as emotionally oblivious as we've always assumed. They are watching us, constantly. But this is where it gets interesting because cats don't just respond to how you look. They respond to how you sound. And when you're sad, you sound different in ways you don't even notice yourself. Your voice gets lower, slower. Your breathing changes. You sigh more. If you've been crying, there's a change in your body chemistry, cortisol levels rise, your scent shifts slightly, and cats with their extraordinary sense of smell can actually detect physiological changes in the human body that we can't detect in each other. Think about that for a second. Your cat might know you're emotionally struggling before you've even fully registered it yourself. There are documented cases of cats alerting their owners before panic attacks, cats who wake sleeping humans during nightmares, cats who become unusually attentive in the days before their owners receive difficult medical news. We tend to dismiss these stories as coincidence, but the pattern shows up too often to ignore. Something deeper is happening here, and it starts long before your cat ever walks into the room. Now, there's another layer to this that most people completely overlook, and I want you to stay with me here, because this part is the one that genuinely moved me when I first learned it. When a cat comes to you while you're sad and simply stays, without meowing, without asking for anything, that is an act of emotional mirroring. In the animal world, proximity is protection. Sitting close to a creature who is distressed is a way of saying, I am here. You are not alone. Nothing will harm you while I'm next to you. Cats do this with each other. When one cat in a multi-cat household is sick or injured, the others will often cluster around them. Not to play, not to eat, just to be close. It's a comfort behavior that is deeply wired into them from their social ancestors. What most owners don't realize is that your cat has extended this same behavior to you. In their mind, you are part of their social group, their family. And when one member of the family is in distress, the instinct kicks in. They come, they stay, they guard. And here's the thing that breaks my heart a little in the best possible way. Cats don't fully understand what sadness means to a human. They don't know about the breakup or the job loss or the grief. They can't comprehend the story behind your tears. But they don't need to. They only need to know that you are different, that something in you has shifted. And that shift triggers a response in them that says, go to them. That is, Instinct and love working together. That is something that no amount of evolutionary programming could have predicted when the first wildcats began creeping toward human campfires thousands of years ago. Somewhere in that long relationship, cats started to care, not in a loud, slobbery, obvious way, in the quiet, watchful, steadfast way that is entirely their own. Now let's talk about something specific that many cat owners have noticed but never quite had the words to explain: the slow blink. You're sitting there upset, maybe staring at nothing, and your cat is watching you, and then they close their eyes, slowly, and open them again, almost like a very deliberate, very calm blink. If you've never had a cat do this to you while you were sad, consider yourself lucky, because when it happens, it feels like receiving a message in another language that you somehow understand perfectly. Ethologists, scientists who study animal behavior, have called the slow blink a cat's way of signaling peaceful intention. It's what cats do when they trust you completely and want you to know it. It's the feline equivalent of a smile, of an embrace, of someone putting their hand on your shoulder and saying, "It's okay." And the fact that cats often do this when their humans are visibly emotional suggests they're not just communicating comfort by accident. They're reaching across the species barrier in the only way they know how. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share next is the part of this story that surprised me most. Here's something researchers have found that completely challenges the old idea of cats as solitary, self-interested animals. Cats who live closely with humans actually begin to synchronize their routines with ours. Their sleep cycles shift. Their activity patterns mirror ours. They learn what time we wake up, when we come home, when we tend to be most anxious. And over time, some cats develop what behaviorists call empathic proximity, a consistent pattern of seeking closeness during moments of human emotional instability. These cats aren't just reacting in the moment. They're learning your emotional landscape over months and years. They build a map of you, your moods, your rhythms, your vulnerable hours. And when something on that map looks wrong, and when the you that arrives home one night is not the same you who left that morning, they notice immediately. That's not coincidence. That's a relationship. There's one more thing worth talking about, and it's something almost no one considers when they think about why their cat behaves this way during painful moments. It has to do with what the cat gets out of it, too, because this isn't entirely selfless behavior, and that's actually what makes it more beautiful, not less. When a cat rests against you while you're distressed, their own nervous system calms. The warmth, the heartbeat, the scent of someone familiar, it regulates them the same way it regulates you. You are their safe person, their anchor, and when you are not okay, something in them becomes alert, unsettled, looking for resolution. When they come to you, they're not just helping you, they're helping themselves feel safe again. They're restoring the balance of their world by being close to the center of it, which, in case you haven't realized this yet, is you. You are the center of your cat's world, not in a dependent, needy way, in a deep, quiet, chosen way. They picked you out of everything in their environment. You are the creature they orient toward when something feels wrong. And this is the part I keep coming back to. The part that sits with me long after I finished reading every study, every behavior report, every story from cat owners who described that one night when they were falling apart and their cat just knew. This is the part that matters most. You don't have to speak the same language to love someone. You don't have to understand the full weight of their pain to show up for them. You don't have to fix anything. Sometimes the most profound act of compassion in the world is simply refusing to leave the room. Your cat doesn't know why you're crying. They don't know what happened at work or what that phone call meant or how long you've been carrying that weight. But they know you. They know your smell and your breathing and the particular silence that follows a hard day, and they come anyway. They always come. So the next time you're having one of those days, and you will, because life is hard and sometimes it just piles on, and your cat suddenly appears from wherever they were hiding, walking slowly and deliberately toward you, and they settle in beside you without a word. Don't dismiss it. Don't call it a coincidence. Don't tell yourself they just want warmth. Look at them. Really look, and understand that in their quiet, ancient, wordless way, they are telling you something that no other creature in your life might be saying loud enough for you to hear. You are not alone. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. That's what the one strange thing your cat does when you're sad actually means. And honestly, I don't think there's anything strange about it at all. If this story made you think of a moment with your own cat, drop it in the comments. I genuinely love to read it. And if you know someone who needs to hear this today, share it with them. Sometimes a story about a cat is really just a story about love.